Natalia, just give the car to your brother. I'm requesting you from the bottom of my heart. Houstus was angry at his daughter's defiance. How dare you question your parents? He growled at her. If you don't do as we say and give your brother the car, you're no longer a part of this family. Natalia was speechless. She tried to hold back tears of anger. I hate them, she thought. I hate James, and I hate my parents. But they're still my family. I can't break family ties for the sake of a car. She looked at her mother's teary eyes. I can't take this anymore, she thought. Fine, she spat. Am I obedient enough for you now? She pulled one of the boxes out of the car and threw it toward her brother. Then she grabbed a suitcase in one hand and Frazer's arm in the other. Come on, she said. We're leaving. Pulling Frazer behind her, she stalked off down the road. Hey, James called after her. When you find a place to stay, let me know. I'll send you a thank you card. Idiots! Natalia kicked a rock and watched it skitter across the street. Morons! How could they do this to me? I barely had a chance to drive it, and now they've taken it away from me. How could this happen? She turned angrily toward her husband. And you, she exclaimed. How could you let them do this? I finally thought you were worth something, but I was wrong. You didn't even stand up for my sake. Frazer kept his expression neutral. I was going to say something, he thought. I really could have told them off and given them something to think about. But then she just gave in to them. What was I supposed to do? He knew that saying any of this would add fuel to his wife's anger, so he kept quiet. Natalia continued her rant until she realized that Frazer wouldn't respond. Shaking her head, she pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Frazer ignored his wife's conversation out of politeness, but when he heard her asking the other person if she could stay at their house, he turned to her in shock. Who's she talking to? He wondered. She's not going to move in with some other guy, is she? Natalia, he started. She turned to stare at him, and he knew better than to continue. She ended the conversation and then tilted her phone so that he could see the call log. She'd been talking to her friend, Sheila. And I suppose you think I'm some sort of hussy, she commented sarcastically. No, he said, embarrassed. That's not it at all. I was just going to ask if we should take a taxi instead of walking. She rolled her eyes and called for a taxi. They arrived at Sheila's house half an hour later. She answered the door in a red silk nightgown and didn't bother trying to hide her yawn. Oh, look at you, she said to Frazer. I heard from Natalia that you, even though you're usually useless, sold 100 properties today. And you got Peter fired. And then you quit. What the heck? You can't do that when you have the advantage, stupid. Frazer smiled blandly at Sheila's chastisement. He had known Sheila since they were in college, and he was well aware of how she felt about him. She's got a sharp tongue, he thought, but deep down, her heart's kind. And Natalia really likes her, so that's all that matters. Oh, stop pestering him, Natalia said. She nudged Frazer. Hurry up and go make us some food. We haven't eaten tonight, and I'm starving. Right away, Frazer said. He walked into the kitchen and busied himself, while Natalia and Sheila sat on the couch and discussed the day's events. It didn't take him long to prepare a simple meal. After supper, Frazer asked about sleeping arrangements. He assumed that Sheila had a spare bedroom. You're going to sleep by yourself in the spare room, she said, pointing at Frazer. Natalia and I will share my bedroom. Frazer looked from Natalia to Sheila, That sounds good to me, he said. Really? Sheila asked. You have no objections to the sleeping arrangements? She eyed him sideways. Is there something wrong with him? She wondered. That he doesn't want to sleep with his own wife? He shook his head. No, see, I have a bed all to myself. I don't have to deal with Natalia snoring or her kicking me in her sleep. That's your problem now. Sheila giggled, and her giggle turned into a full-blown belly laugh. Oh, I get it, Natalia, she said. I finally figured out why you're still married to this loser. Turns out he's a schemer after all. Natalia's face reddened in embarrassment, and she threw a pillow at Frazer's head. He dodged it and then slipped into the kitchen to finish doing the dishes before finally going to bed. The next day, James took his new sports car out for a cruise. This is great, he thought. I had someone else to spend their money on a new car for me. I'm a genius. He took out his phone and called his girlfriend. Pearl, you at home right now? He asked. I am. What's going on? I know you've wanted to go car shopping lately, and I have a surprise for you. You're gonna be so excited when I show you that you won't be able to sleep tonight. Are you serious? Pearl squealed as she jumped up from the couch. You'd better not be lying. You know that my parents already don't like you very much, she continued. Just get here, James promised. He made a quick turn, cutting off the car behind him, and headed toward Pearl's house. After a quick stop to pick up a bouquet of roses, he arrived. To add an element of surprise, he parked the car down the street from Pearl's home. He sent her a text letting her know where he was and hopped out of the car. He held the roses in one hand and leaned on the hood of the car in what he considered a handsome pose. Just wait until she sees this car, he thought in anticipation. This is going to seal the deal between us, and she's going to be putty in my hands. The screech of tires and an ear-piercing horn startled him. He turned in time to see a huge truck race around the corner and head straight toward him. He froze for a split second as it became apparent that the truck wouldn't stop. He screamed and dropped the roses as he hurled himself to one side. His foot slipped and he fell heavily onto the pavement and slid several feet away. He scrambled out of the way just in time to hear a loud crash behind him. He ignored the blood dripping from his face and turned around. The truck had hit his car squarely and pushed it into a retaining wall, crumpling the passenger side fender. "My car!" he screamed. As he watched in horror, the truck turned and then drove forward again, ramming into the car again and again until nothing remained of the brand new sports car but a twisted pile of scrap metal. James rushed over. He yanked open the door of the truck and dragged the driver out. "What have you done?" he yelled. "You destroyed my car. You're gonna pay for this. I'm suing you for your license and all you're worth." The driver calmly removed James's hand from his arm. "You've got blood in your eyes," he said. "I don't know what you think you saw, but it never happened. Look around. There are no street cameras here. No witnesses. And if you don't get away from me, I'll crumple you like a tin can too." The driver shoved James away and got back into his truck. As he drove away, he dialed a number on his phone. "It's taken care of," he told his boss. "We just happened to run into each other." On the other end of the phone, Frazer smiled. "Well done," he said. The truck was long gone by the time Pearl walked down the street. She saw James sitting on the curb with blood on his face and a smashed car behind him. "What's going on?" she asked. "Is this supposed to be some sort of prank?" "It's not, I swear," James said, as he wiped the blood away with his shirt. "There was a truck. It came around the corner and smashed the car and then left."
To watch the full episode, install the Pocket FM app